Step up, bring it. Yes, sir.
Somebody gon' get their ass kicked. Somebody gon' get their wings lit. Somebody gon' get their ass kicked. Somebody gon' get their wings lit.
We have got so much shit to talk about. What has it been, like 3 or 4 weeks since I've been up here to do a regular commentary? First of all, I want to thank everybody for the awesome support and the great feedback I've got on the 5.5 hour Q&A that I just put up. People really seem to like it, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. So it's been awesome so far. So continue to enjoy the commentary, and there will definitely be more in the future. Now, before we get into all this wrestling shit, we're going to start this commentary off different. We're going to start out with some sports. Last night, I sat here and watched one of the most amazing NBA Finals game of my entire life, and I know that there's a lot of fans that listen to me that are probably going to want my feedback. I don't know how many of you are basketball fans. If you don't give a shit about basketball, if you don't give a shit about the NBA Finals, then go ahead and fast forward about 3 or 4 minutes and get to the wrestling shit. If you want to hear this, stick around because we're going to talk some fucking b-ball. First of all, this game last night, if you guys watched it, between the Miami Heat and the San Antonio Spurs, San Antonio are up 3-2, going back to Miami for Game 6 and 7. They just got to win one of these and they're NBA champions. And last year I did a commentary the night after the Heat won the title, praising LeBron and basically, you know, comparing the hate for LeBron James to the hate to John Cena, and it really fucking annoys me. However, in this game, I actually picked the San Antonio Spurs because I have not seen the same Miami Heat in these playoffs that we saw last year where LeBron James can just up and say, hey, wait a second, I'm fucking LeBron James, I'm going to go out there and win this goddamn game. One of the most frustrating things about the Miami Heat, even though I'm a fan of theirs, I'm a supporter of the Heat, D-Wade, LeBron James, I see no reason in the world to hate those guys, so I always support them. However, even I, as a fan, get really frustrated with the Miami Heat's body language sometimes. You know, it just seems like when they want to play, when they're pissed off, when they play, you know, at the highest level, there's not a team, there's not a group of guys walking planet Earth that can even touch them on a basketball court. Nobody. They can blow anybody out at any time, whenever they want. What annoys me is that sometimes they don't want to. You can tell in their body language when they're getting beat, you know, and when other teams are controlling the pace and the game's not going their way, they really just seem like, you know, LeBron just doesn't seem that like aggressive guy that can just drive it right down the lane and dunk it right in your fucking face. He seems like somebody who can do that on every play. But when they're getting outplayed, it's like LeBron starts hesitating, and that's what's annoying about him as a fan, because you want to say you're the best player in the world. Act like it. So last night watching the game, I was getting extremely frustrated with Miami because this is their legacy, this is their title, their championship is on the line. All the scrutiny that the team and LeBron James is under, these are the moments that you have to come through, and the Spurs were just kicking their ass. From the opening tip all the way until the last fucking 2 minutes, really, the Spurs had the game well in hand. Miami went on a couple of runs. Miami even took the lead. After being down by so much, they took the lead. They took a double-digit lead, and then they choked that away to the Spurs. The Spurs are just too cool, too calm. They're battle-tested, and I've always maintained that a great team will beat great individuals. But here's the thing. Miami is a great team. Yes, they have great individuals, but they are a fantastic team and a good defensive team when they want to be. I mean, for fuck's sake, this is their third NBA Finals in a row, okay? This is a pretty big deal. I don't know why everybody's talking about splitting the team up and sending Chris Bosh away, and these guys, they're not living up to the expectations. What the fuck are you talking about? They've made it to the championship every year they've been together as a team. So if you ask me, Miami is a great team, but they have to come through in these moments. And we look on the Spurs bench, and you see Tony Parker, you see Tim Duncan, you see Manu Ginobili, and you see Greg Popovich on the bench there, and all the titles that they've won and all the stress and pressure games. They're a fantastic road team. Every year the Spurs go on their rodeo road trip because they run the fucking rodeo when the Spurs, where the Spurs play, so they have to go on the road for like 3 fucking weeks, and they always come home with a winning record off of this stuff. They do not sweat home games. They do not sweat championship games, playoff games, whatever. They are cool, calm, and collected, and money should be on the Spurs in that situation, and my money was, and I was being proved right all night long. I was getting frustrated. I said, look at Miami, see, I told you, I knew they couldn't handle this. I knew Miami and LeBron James couldn't handle this type of pressure because they were down 3-2 to Dallas the first year that they made the finals together, and they lost Game 6 at home to Dallas. And I was like, these are the type of situations that Miami loses. These are the type of situations that LeBron just doesn't come through in, and these are also the type of situations that teams like the Spurs always thrive in. You know, the Miami Heat does not want to go into a 3-2 elimination game against a champion team like the Spurs or the Celtics or just a well-put-together, well-built, well-coached team like that. It's just going to be their demise. So, you know, here we go. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, 26 seconds left. Spurs have the ball and are up by 5, for fuck's sake. What the hell happened? You know, and what irritated me the most is when this game was over, you know, all the talk on Twitter and social media was the refs. The refs blew the call. The refs fucked over the Spurs. Did it not occur to anybody that maybe these motherfuckers choked and maybe LeBron James and the Miami Heat came through in a situation that they needed to? They did something I didn't think they could do. Now, don't get me wrong. They got in extremely lucky. It was like fucking divine intervention. The fact that Ray Allen was able to hit that three-pointer, that was amazing. The fans were gone, the court was roped off, and the trophy was out. The San Antonio Spurs were seconds. They were high-fiving on the bench. This thing was over. This thing was over. All you got to do in this situation, when it's a close game like that with seconds left, you just got to play the free throw game. And all you got to do is just take care of your business. They didn't take care of their business. They missed some critical free throws down the stretch, which would have put them up by 4. Instead, they're up by 3, and then they go down to the other end. LeBron misses. You know, you can hear the fans gasp, our season's over. They get an offensive rebound because of Chris Bosh, another guy everybody thinks isn't playing well. Ray Allen does this nifty little move to run backwards to the three-point line, knowing exactly where it is, keeping his feet behind the line, and nailing a clutch three-pointer. That is exactly why Ray Allen was brought there. If you do not sign Ray Allen, Miami Heat aren't champions this year. Ray Allen saved the Miami Heat and actually might have handed them the title. And that was probably the best money the Miami Heat has ever spent, was on Ray Allen. That was amazing. I like Ray Allen. I have no problem with him leaving Boston either. He wants to go win rings. What the fuck is wrong with that? You know, those guys made a great team, and that was a great effort. That was an amazing game. And let's not forget about LeBron here. You know, he fucking went off. They were down in the fourth quarter, and what the hell happened? His headband fall off, and then he turned into a completely different person. He turned into the dominating LeBron that I know he can be, and I think deep down the rest of the world knows he can be, and he went out there and took his championship back, and he played a big role too. Ray saved them, but LeBron got him back into the game to begin with. And I don't want to hear about the blown call, the Chris Bosh block on Danny Green at the end of the game. That was all ball. That probably would have been a foul in a regular season game, but not in the finals. And you're not gonna have a championship decided at the free throw line. You know, that was a good, solid block, I think, and I don't think it was the worst call in the world. And even if the refs did call the foul, that doesn't guarantee shit. He's still got to go to the line, you know. So the fact that everybody thinks the referees screwed the Spurs, you know, watch the game a little more closely and actually watch what happened. The Spurs choked this thing away. LeBron James realized the player that he was. Free throws and lucky three-pointers all played a role. It was a combination of things, and I've never in my life seen a turn of events in a fourth quarter like that. You know, even when Miami started going on a run and they took the lead, I said to myself, I'm like, I can't believe they have the lead. They're in good shape now to force a Game 7, but they need a sizable lead because don't count the Spurs out. You know, they need to go up by fucking 20 here to put them away. And what happened? They kept the lead close. Spurs stayed in it, and then Tony Parker hits that awesome three-pointer. I think Tony Parker's three at the top of the key over LeBron James was every bit as lucky as Ray Allen's three was. It's all about perspective. It's all about being logical, not worrying so much about who your favorites are. Do you have any idea how much I love and respect the San Antonio Spurs? I love what they've done. You know, I think Tim Duncan is one of the best professionals that our game of basketball has ever seen. They're lucky to have a guy like him. I would have no problem whatsoever if the Spurs would have won that championship and would have held up that trophy last night, because they deserve it, and they're a great team, and teams like that are what I love. I'm a basketball fan. I used to play basketball. I love the game. I love studying the game, and teams like the Spurs I think are some of my favorite to watch. So I don't want you to think that I'm all about LeBron James and the Miami Heat. I love the San Antonio Spurs, and I have a ridiculous amount of respect for them. But at the same time, I also have no problem whatsoever with LeBron James. I absolutely despise and loathe the hate in this country for this guy. The hate for LeBron James is exactly like the hate for John Cena. It makes no fucking sense. Good micro prediction, Miami's going to win this game. They're going to win Game 7. They're going to win the NBA title. I picked San Antonio to win the NBA title before Game 6. I said San Antonio wins these games. They win in these type of situations, and Miami does not. But the fact that Miami was able to steal that Game 6, now in a Game 7 prediction, you always got to take the home team in that situation. And what Miami did to San Antonio last night, I think, won the NBA title for them, and they should have no problem disposing of the Spurs in Game 7 and hold up that trophy. That's what's going to happen. And if I'm wrong, fine, because you know what happens if I'm wrong? A great team with a great legacy just got their 5th ring. And one of my favorite players in Tim Duncan has got a handful of rings. What an amazing career. So it's actually a win-win for me. I'm happy if LeBron wins. I'm happy if Timmy wins. But what we saw in that Game 6 was so fucking amazing that Miami's got this. They got the title. Now, that went on for a little longer than 3 or 4 minutes, but now let's get into some wrestling. Payback took place on Sunday night. I did not see the pay-per-view. However, I did catch some of the replay. And I got to tell you, the feedback was good for the pay-per-view. I'm not going to chronicle everything because some much bigger things happened on Raw, and we had a lot of surprises and a lot of shit to talk about. First things first about Payback, John Cena did retain the title in the 3 Stages of Hell match, a match that I wasn't even really that interested in because whenever you have a match like this, I'm not a fan of the 3 Stages of Hell because you give away the ending. I mean, every time there's a 3 Stages of Hell, this thing isn't going to end after Stage 2. Of course it's going to go to Stage 3 because it's all about the drama in the show. So you knew one guy was going to win one fall, the other guy was going to win the other fall, and then it would go into the ambulance match. It's not like they would have the ambulance match there and then not even use the fucking thing. So, you know, you kind of already know the outcome. You know it's somebody's going to win the falls 2 to 3. Now, if I didn't see the whole match, I kind of fast-forwarded to the end, where John Cena threw Ryback through the ambulance. I actually thought that they could even squeeze another pay-per-view match out of this because, if I'm right, didn't Ryback win the Lumberjack match, which means he probably pinned Cena? And Cena won the tables match by throwing him through a table. Then he won the ambulance match by throwing him through the ambulance. So Cena really never pinned Ryback. So I guess it was, in a way, a little bit of smart booking by the WWE. Okay, we're not ready to give Ryback the title, but maybe he won't lose so much steam the way he lost, because it's not like he was pinned. He wasn't dominated. You know, it was a brutal fight, both sides, and, they did the ending where Cena, barely won. So maybe this keeps Ryback strong, but this guy, you know what, I just have no interest in Ryback. I just don't really care about him. I think he's got an amazing look. I've talked about Ryback before. I talked about him in the 5-hour commentary. I got nothing really against Ryback, but I'm really glad they decided not to put the belt on him. I'm not ready for him. I don't think he's ready. I don't think the fans are ready. Much like the Miami Heat, I think people rooting for Ryback were doing it because he wasn't John Cena, and I think that's a stupid way to look at things. So I'm glad that Ryback isn't world champion yet, and I got to tell you, I mean, they just put him in there and make him lose every fucking pay-per-view. I mean, what's that about? At what point are the fans gonna, just say, Ryback, no big deal. Who the fuck is Ryback? He doesn't win anything. So that's kind of my feeling on him now. I'm not going to be stupid enough to say that's Cena's fault and he's holding Ryback back, because that's fucking retarded, and we know that's not true. But I think in the scenario going into SummerSlam, having Cena with the belt probably makes the most sense. So I know that probably freaks a lot of people out, probably pisses them off. I really don't give a shit, so have fun being pissed off. Who cares? The other big news in the pay-per-view is they did a double turn in a match. So they had Del Rio come out there as babyface to challenge Dolph Ziggler, who hasn't wrestled in a month and a half. And throughout the course of the match, Del Rio starts being very brutal and exploiting Ziggler's injury, and ends up winning the title in controversial fashion. The fans kind of turned on him and were applauding the efforts of Dolph Ziggler, and I think it was pretty successful. I mean, a lot of fans after the match were saying online, I don't know what we just saw. I think that was a double turn, but I'm not sure. After going back and watching the tape, to me, there's no fucking question about it. That was a double turn for sure. Then they confirmed that on Monday Night Raw with all of that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Del Rio regained the title from Dolph Ziggler, and again, here's something I don't have a problem with. I love the fact that Dolph Ziggler won that title after WrestleMania. That was awesome. But he's been injured for a long time, and he's had a concussion. I almost think the WWE wants to push the reset button on his title reign, so they gave it back to Del Rio so Ziggler can chase it again. And he'll probably eventually win it back and maybe have a little bit more, meaningful of a reign where he's not sitting on his ass injured the whole time. Now, Dolph Ziggler is a babyface. I guess I'm fine with it. I don't know where that leaves his relationship with AJ, who's being such an evil cunt, and Big E Langston. I would think, much like with CM Punk and Paul Heyman, Punk can't be a babyface if he's got Paul Heyman hanging around. And how can Ziggler be a babyface if he's got this bitch AJ hanging around? So I almost think that, in the next couple of weeks or in the next week on TV, there's going to be some sort of a split or something there. Because I can't imagine a babyface Dolph Ziggler still coming out with those two. So there's going to be some sort of incident where they're probably going to turn on him. If they're going to keep Dolph Ziggler face. If they're going to run with Dolph Ziggler as a babyface, he's probably going to be detached from Big E Langston and AJ very, very soon on TV, I would imagine. I'm not sure how he's going to go over as a face, actually. I mean, I know the fans love him. They applaud his abilities, and he's amazing in the ring, and I'm happy he's a babyface. I got no problem cheering the guy, but, you know, just with that I'm here to show the world attitude, and I'm a show-off, and I'm a cocky fucking piece of shit, you know, to make that guy a babyface, it's tough to do that. So we'll see, you know, how they... you know, I mean, if they play up the angle that he has a lot of heart, he's a fighter and all that, that's fine. The fans are going to be easy to get behind him. But, you know, the hot pink shorts and the dancing around, you know, it's just, that guy's better off as a heel. Guys like that anyway. But we'll see how it works. You know, Ziggler was probably due to turn face. The fans love him. They go bonkers every time he wins a match. So it probably made sense for them to do this. So I really have no problem with it until it proves that it was a bad idea. So until then, you know, I'm fine with the double turn, and I like Del Rio as a heel. I liked him as a face, surprisingly. I didn't think I would. It was really hard for me to get used to him as a babyface at first, but then I did. Now he's back to a heel, and, you know, it seems more natural for Alberto Del Rio to be a heel. Also, the much-expected Intercontinental title victory for Curtis Axel also took place. You know, we knew that was going to happen the way he came out and interjected himself and put himself in the three-way match. You know, I immediately said, perfect, there's your new champ guaranteed. And I'm trying to think, I don't think we've had a father-son Intercontinental title team before. I can't think of two guys that are father and son that have won that same belt. So I think that's awesome. I'm a big fan of Curtis Axel. You guys have not even heard from me since I first commented on him when he first debuted, so I have not even really talked about what else he has done. But putting the IC belt on him was a great idea. That's a good way to get him started. There's a legacy behind that belt with him and his dad. And maybe he can help bring some prestige, as long as he doesn't drop it in 3 weeks, you know, and maybe he can hold that belt like CM Punk held the world title and just help build him a little bit and, you know, restore some prestige to the Intercontinental title. Also on Payback, you saw AJ win the Divas title. The only reason I'm mentioning that is because you guys know how I feel about Divas wrestling. I usually take piss breaks during it. But this was probably one of the better put-together female scenarios they've done, with AJ having this master plan to, you know, humiliate Caitlyn and take everything that's important to her. And, you know, and Caitlyn sold it pretty well, just laying there crying in the ring. AJ was coming out week after week doing shit to her. And then she ended up winning the title at the pay-per-view, and Caitlyn's crying, and she's destroyed, and, you know, and yada, yada, yada. So I think all of that was actually not bad. Still don't like Divas wrestling, still think it's a fucking joke, but, you know, I thought that was done pretty well, to be honest. The CM Punk versus Chris Jericho match did take place. It was strange the way they were building it up on TV. You had to wonder if CM Punk was actually going to show. I figured that he would because it is in Chicago, and he's not going to do that to Chicago, especially, you know, I have heard the rumblings when he comes back he might be a babyface. So if they were going to do all that, it made no sense to me to have CM Punk no-show the match. So basically it was just their way to set up, you know, him and Paul Heyman splitting up, with Paul Heyman signing him to a match that he never agreed to. He came out and he did it, and, you know, and then I don't want to be your client anymore kind of thing that happened on Raw. We'll get to that in a minute. But CM Punk is back, had a great match with Chris Jericho, didn't even look that rusty to me, debuted a different little hairstyle and some pork chops, and he looked great. So I was glad CM Punk's back. I think the WWE is too. Speaking of returns, they announced on Payback that Rob Van Dam is in fact coming back to the WWE after all. I think I talked about him during the Paul Heyman guy Raw, when Paul Heyman introduced Curtis Axel. It might be Van Dam. I got no problem with Van Dam coming back. I think he's going to be wrestling that limited schedule from what I hear. I have no idea how his contract is set up. I don't know how they're going to push him, if he's only going to wrestle a little bit. Is he going to be there to put guys over, or is he going to be there to actually win belts? I don't think if Rob Van Dam is going to work a limited schedule that he has any chance at all at winning the WWE title or anything like that. He's not The Rock, and they're not going to give it to him. Plus, he was just over in TNA. TNA had no problem giving him their belt, but, you know, he turned right around and came back home to the WWE. So it'll be great to see Rob back. I don't think he's the same in the ring as he was, you know, 10, 15 years ago, but he's still Rob Van Dam. He's still the whole effing show, and I'm still sure that a lot of fans are happy to see him. And he's going to return at the Money in the Bank. Now, it makes me wonder, is he going to be in one of the Money in the Bank matches? That's going to be a strange return if he just comes back just to be one of the 6 competitors and he doesn't even win. So I don't know if it's going to be a singles match or if he's going to be in the ladder match. I don't know. Either way, it's great to see Rob Van Dam back. I'm not going to get too excited about it because this is an older Rob Van Dam working a limited schedule, and he's not the same in the ring as he was. So we'll see. Maybe he's just there to have some great kick-ass matches with some of the younger guys. put somebody over here or there, and I'll be curious to know how long he even sticks around. So the fact that WWE brought him back is kind of surprising, you know. So since he was, you know, when did he win the TNA title? How long ago was that? To me, it seems recent. Was that more than like a year or two ago? But to me, when Van Dam came into TNA and won the belt, it seems like it just happened. So my timeline's all fucked up. I don't know when it happened. But anyway, regardless of the fact, Van Dam's back in the WWE now. Should be interesting to see what they do with him. And I have no problem with it at all. I wish Van Dam luck. He's awesome. Oh, and I'm also really curious to know exactly how he's going to work out his weed smoking while working for this company. I wouldn't be surprised if he had something worked in the contract and say, give me a fucking break with the weed and I'll come work for you. You know, I wouldn't even be surprised if he tried to pull some of that. So anyway, who knows? Why don't we move on to Raw? Because this is where a bunch of crazy shit happened. Now, I got to tell you with Raw, this is one of the best Raws that I've seen for different reasons, because there were so many things that watching it, I weren't sure if they were works or not. And I appreciate all the people commenting to me on Facebook and stuff. Wow, WWE must have hired good mic work as a writer. I'm glad that you think that if I was there, the shows would be better. But some of the writing I kind of question, you know. I mean, is it a good idea? You guys tell me. Do you think it's a good idea to turn two of your biggest heels babyface? The big stories that happen on Raw, first of all, I want to talk about the Daniel Bryan-Randy Orton match. Now, I saw this right when it happened. I was like, you know, I was watching the whole match. I said, Bryan's injured. You can tell he's hurt. And the ending was so strange, the way the match ended, and Randy Orton came out there and helped Daniel Bryan up. And I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? The whole time I thought it was his arm. I thought he had done something to his arm, because Daniel Bryan had the look on his face and the frustration on his face as if he knew he was injured and he knew this was going to be his last match for a while. To me, I thought that that's what was going on. I said, holy shit, Daniel Bryan just fucked something up. He tore his shoulder. He did something to his arm, and he knows it. And he knows that after this match, he's not going to be in the ring for a while, and he's pissed. And Randy Orton came out, probably felt sorry for him, helped him up. It's okay, man, shake it off. I know you were in for a big push, but, you know, that's going to be on the back burner now. You're injured. It almost felt like Randy Orton was consoling him, and I thought Bryan was going to be out for a while. I thought he had broken his arm, is what I thought. Come to find out, it was some nerve damage. It was a stinger. And I watched the match back, and I noticed the move that he injured himself on. I don't know what WWE is claiming he injured himself on, but when I was watching it, it was from the missile dropkick. I hate that move. He does it. Owen Hart used to do it. A few other guys do it. It's dangerous, and it fucking hurts. When they throw that dropkick off the top rope, I don't understand for the life of me why they come down on their back. You can do a top rope dropkick without landing like that. Owen Hart used to throw the same thing, and to me that would just basically be like climbing to the top rope and just doing a senton bomb onto the mat. Why would you do that? That is so much wear and tear on your back, neck, head, elbows, everything. I've never liked that move. And on top of that, you can botch it, because when you jump and you kick your opponent, that could change the angle that you fall. So it's not like just a straight fall. You still have to trust that you're going to kick your opponent right, and he's not going to accidentally flip you upside down where you can land on your head or something like that. So to me, it looked like the missile dropkick that Daniel Bryan threw on Randy Orton was what triggered the stinger. I don't think Randy Orton took the dropkick wrong. I just think it's a dangerous, stupid move. You know, if you're going to do a top rope dropkick, fall on your stomach. Don't fall on your back and your neck, for fuck's sake. And there's only a few guys that can do that move. Maybe it hurts certain guys less than it hurts others, but I remember Owen used to do it all the time, and Daniel Bryan does it all the time. And they're really the only two ones that I can really think of that do that style of top rope dropkick all the time in every match. So if you ask me, to me it looked like that's where the injury took place. But anyway, as far as the online reports go, it looks like Daniel Bryan's actually fine, thank God. He's not injured as badly. It was just, you know, a little numbness in his arm, which is why the arm was dangling through the match. I thought he had broken or torn something. But apparently it was just nerve. He was a little numb or tingled or whatever. There's also, I'm not going to play too much into this because a lot of people have asked me about it. There's also a story going around that him and Triple H got in some backstage exchange or whatever like that. I'm not interested in that. I don't give a shit. We weren't there. We didn't see anything. And this is my problem with the internet now. Arguments and screaming matches and confrontations happen every single day in the fucking wrestling business. They always have. But now with everybody knowing everybody's business, they're all known. There are lots of instances that take place in the ring that somebody gets hurt or injured or something doesn't go right, and it's frustration, and you get to the back and you're already pumped full of adrenaline because you were just in a match, you're all jacked up, you're mad that you're hurt, your emotions are flying, and you can easily yell and scream at somebody. I think right before Eddie Guerrero died, him and Kurt Angle got in a shoot in the locker room and started fighting because they were pissed at each other after a match. Something didn't go right. They were both yelling. They were both hot and sweaty and full of adrenaline from their match. They started bitching at each other, and next thing you know, they're on the ground fighting. So things like that happen. And if there was some sort of an exchange with Triple H and Daniel Bryan, who cares? That's between them. It's not going to affect Bryan's job. He's just, he's reacting in the heat of the moment. If anybody's going to understand that, it's Triple H. And they even did something on where Triple H did an interview talking about how he was the one that stopped the match or something. So I don't know, what the deal there is. If Daniel Bryan's really mad that they stopped the match, no big deal. They can still re-push him. His push is not in jeopardy. I don't know what the original plan for the match was. I'm guessing he was going to beat Randy Orton because they're talking about pushing Daniel Bryan, but I don't think even that was that big of a deal to get mad about. The WWE is just trying to protect him. They're extremely, fucking anal about head injuries and concussions now, just like the NFL is. Daniel Bryan has to realize that it's a different game now. He can pull out the whole, I've been all over the world and wrestled everywhere, I know how injured I am, doesn't matter. When you start fucking with the head and nerves and necks and shit like that, the WWE is not going to take any chances, and they did what they felt they needed to do. So Daniel Bryan is just going to have to fucking live with that, and so are the fans, and I think that any push that Daniel Bryan is going to get can still happen. I don't think that match killed it, so everybody needs to fucking relax, basically. Now on to one of the other things that happened on Raw. Let me tell you something right now. I never once, not for one single second, believed that Mark Henry was retiring. Everything that he said on Twitter, all of the teasing that they did, I could see coming a mile away. Now, I will admit that how the WWE did this was very well done, but I was still very surprised how many fucking fans fell for it. Everybody fell for it. Every one of you motherfuckers fell for it. And that's the craziest thing to me. First of all, Mark Henry interrupted John Cena. That should have been clue number one right there, that this is fucking a bullshit retirement. Because if he was really going to retire and come out there and cry and have a speech, he wouldn't come out there in the middle of a John Cena segment. He would have his own segment. So as soon as he came out there, and as soon as the fucking announcers and Mark Henry and John Cena all start acknowledging the fact that he's never won the WWE title, I'm like, well, he's in the ring with the WWE champion. All he's going to do is beat him up and challenge him. To me, that was so obvious. Mark Henry has always been a crier. He's cried a lot, and I think that he worked himself up emotionally to pull that interview off. He did a great job. Mark Henry did a fantastic job. Even though I knew what he was doing, and even though I could see it coming, he was doing great. I mean, the guy was crying. He was actually making it seem legitimate. But to me, the fact that John Cena was out there in the ring was telling me that he's going to attack him. Because if John Cena would have just, gotten out of the ring and walked away and went to the back, then that would be one thing. But he stayed there. And he came in the ring and gave Mark Henry the belt and all of that. And, and why is John Cena on the apron during a Mark Henry retirement speech? Get the fuck off the apron. Get the hell out of there. So to me, all signs pointed to this being bullshit. And I wasn't surprised at all when Mark Henry picked up John Cena and slammed him down. And it really almost makes me wonder if this could be Mark Henry's final run. What if he is going to retire? What if this is his retirement program? What if he's going to have one final run? Maybe they're going to give him the WWE title because it's the one belt that he's never had. He's about to hang up the boots. Mark Henry has put his time in. He's been an incredibly dedicated employee and worker there. I love Mark Henry. I will be sad the day he actually does retire. And I think if they wanted to give Mark the belt, give him the belt. He's an amazing man. He's an amazing person. And if anybody deserves, a run with that belt, it's Mark Henry. So it looks like he's going to be in this program with John Cena now. I guess this is going to be a Money in the Bank match. Is Mark Henry going to win this thing? Is Mark Henry going to go into SummerSlam as the champion? That seems a little strange to me. And I'm also wondering if Ryback's going to find his way back into this. So are we going to have some sort of a three-way match? Is it going to be Ryback, Mark Henry, and John Cena? Ryback and Mark Henry might have some unfinished business too from WrestleMania. So maybe there's going to be a three-way situation going on here. Don't know, don't care. In my immediate reaction that I'm happy that Mark Henry's not retiring yet. I love the segment on Raw. I love the way he swerved everybody and fooled everybody except me. Now let's talk about CM Punk. Alberto Del Rio comes out to the ring to brag about him winning the World Heavyweight title. And who hits the ring? CM Punk and Paul Heyman. He just challenged Alberto Del Rio to a match later on Raw in the main event, and as we saw, Ziggler got involved in that, so it looks like Ziggler and Del Rio are going to continue what they're doing, and CM Punk is going on to something else. What is that something else? Brock is that something else. I loved that. I was wondering when these two guys were going to cross paths. I was even wondering it as early as Monday night, because as soon as CM Punk broke up with Paul Heyman and sent him on his way, I was saying to myself, oh man, I wonder if this is going to piss off Brock Lesnar, and there's eventually going to be matches between Punk and Axel, or Lesnar could get involved in this or whatever. And sure enough, right after the match with Del Rio, Brock's music hits. And it was just like one of those, another surprise that after what we already saw on Raw with some pretty good shit going down, that was like the icing on the cake. You know, so the WWE, every time they have a Raw like this, they can never follow it up. But, you know, when CM Punk was standing there in the ring and then out hits Brock. You know, so I'm guessing this is going to be a SummerSlam match. There's no way they're going to do this at Money in the Bank. At least I wouldn't think. I could be wrong. But, you know, I would expect a match of this caliber to be at a big pay-per-view. And I'm kind of curious how it's all going to go down. What kind of offense is CM Punk going to have? You know, Brock is a legitimate fighter. He's twice the size of CM Punk. I'm curious how this is even going to be really a match. But I'm sure that, you know, Punk is going to get his. I mean, Punk might actually win this fucking thing. You know, and it also makes me wonder if this is going to be the first of many CM Punk-Brock Lesnar matches. Because so far, you know, I mean, Brock Lesnar's last feud lasted 3 matches in 9 months. So when he gets in the ring with CM Punk at SummerSlam, regardless of the outcome, are they going to see each other again at WrestleMania? Are they going to see each other again at Survivor Series or whatever? So we'll just have to wait and see there. But I think the feud itself is great because it's 2 big names, Brock versus Punk. That's going to be awesome. Paul Heyman can play into this thing. You know the way CM Punk dumped him like that. I can see Paul Heyman being so vicious and so ruthless to, you know, extract his revenge on CM Punk and using Brock Lesnar as a tool to do that. And now we're back to that whole underdog babyface CM Punk, you know, battling against all odds again. So now CM Punk is a babyface. I actually prefer Punk as a heel too. The reason I do is because he hates the fucking fans. He hates the fans in the same way I hate the fans. And a guy like that needs to be a heel because he's pretty open about how he thinks wrestling fans are a bunch of fucking jackoffs. You know, so how can this guy be a babyface? I don't understand. But anyway, he's going to be one. He's in the ring with Brock now. He's got a feud with him. And I think it's going to be good. But I'm curious how the matches are going to be. You know, I mean, Brock didn't have little opponents like this when he was in the WWE the first time. And since he's been back, he's only wrestled Cena and Triple H. So, you know, I'm just curious how these matches are going to go. I actually think Brock and Punk are going to be better than Brock and Triple H. And maybe even Brock and John Cena. So the potential for this feud is awesome because Brock can still go. He's still amazing. And CM Punk does what he does. This can be great. You know, but how is CM Punk going to win? That's what I want to know. CM Punk's the guy that's held the title for 434 days. He had a huge run. He's one of the main players on the roster. He's back now working what I'm guessing is a full-time schedule. Brock is only in 2 or 3 times a year. Brock will probably beat CM Punk at some point, but also Punk needs to beat him. So how the fuck is that going to happen? I mean, is CM Punk going to just have a match with Brock and give him the go to sleep and pin him? Can Brock be pinned that way? You know, I'm just curious about that. So even though we've got a Money in the Bank pay-per-view to get through, I'm really liking the way SummerSlam shapes up so far. Unless one little piece of drama I didn't talk about on Monday Night Raw. Unless they do something with Vince McMahon and Triple H. Surely they cannot think this is a good idea. Because what are they doing on TV right now, guys, on Raw? Every backstage segment is some weird sort of power struggle with the McMahons, with Vince and Triple H. Stephanie's in the middle of it. I mean, this almost makes me think that eventually it's going to lead to a match with complete control of the company at stake. And also, don't forget, as it relates to Stephanie McMahon getting involved with the Divas now, the way she came out and confronted AJ, and it looks like they're starting a little feud, it makes me think one thing and one thing only. If they're not going to go with a Vince McMahon Triple H match, what if they do a mixed tag? Think about it. Think about what a slut AJ Lee has been since she's been there. She's been hooking up with everybody. Who made her the general manager to begin with? Wasn't it Vince? What if she winds up hooking up with Vince? What if she aligns herself with Vince and they have some sick affair, the old man and the hot little 20-year-old? And then it could be like a mixed tag match, Triple H and Stephanie versus Vince McMahon and AJ. At least if they did that, that would be tolerable because that might be semi-entertaining, but the fucking Vince McMahon Triple H match, no way. Let's see, what else happened on Raw? Christian, by the way, returned. Somebody said he's been gone for a year. Is that right? You know, that's just how I barely fucking watched the product. I barely even noticed he was gone. But he's back. He's been gone for a long time, apparently. And he's back now. Who knows what he's going to be doing. But I'm glad he's back. I've always been a fan of Christian. And I hope whatever they do something with him. You know, something decent other than just wrestling in three-way Intercontinental #1 contender matches. Like, who gives a shit about that? So if they can utilize Christian in a good way, you know, and highlight his ring skills and his mic skills and put him in a decent program, I'm thrilled he's back. I hope they give him something good to do. It was also good to see them do something with Antonio Cesaro. Didn't he come in there and actually team up with Zeb Coulter and join forces with him and Jack Swagger, which I think is funny. He's going, "We the people," and, you know, they beat William Regal and put that stupid redneck "don't tread on me" fucking flag over him. To me, that was a strange alliance, but I wasn't against it because I really want to see them do something with Cesaro. I actually thought when Alberto Del Rio turned heel, I said to myself, I'm like, wouldn't that be something if Del Rio and Swagger and Zeb all kind of teamed up? So when Zeb was out there talking, I found someone to stand with me, you know, and just to prove that I'm not prejudiced and, you know, this and that. And I thought for sure he was going to call out Del Rio. I thought for sure. And then it turned out to be Cesaro, which I was actually fine with because I like him. And at least they're giving him something to do. Is it going to work? Who the hell knows? Is this, you know, intelligent guy that speaks multiple languages, you know, who has a completely different character? Is he even going to mesh well with this fat little redneck Zeb Coulter and his moron, you know, lackey Jack Swagger? Who knows how that's even going to work? But hey, at least it's something. At least it's some sort of a minor push, and maybe Cesaro won't be jobbing every fucking week on Raw. Other than that, what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. Obviously, I didn't talk about all of Raw. I didn't talk about all of the pay-per-view, but I think those are the main points that I wanted to make. Anything else going on, you guys are really going to have to fill me in on. Money in the Bank, I guess, is shaping up. We already know that we're probably going to have, you know, pending the fact that Ziggler's actually medically cleared, he's probably going to be facing Del Rio. Cena's going to be facing Mark Henry unless Ryback finds his way into the mix. And then we're going to have a couple of Money in the Bank matches, right? Or one or two. I forget how the fuck it works. But anyway, the pay-per-view actually should be good. Hopefully it'll be a good lead-in for SummerSlam. But as of right now, I think I'm much more excited for the potential for SummerSlam than anything else. I've even heard the rumblings of, you know, the Brothers of Destruction versus the Shield at SummerSlam. So the card for this year's Summer Classic should be stacked with a lot of big names on it. We'll just have to wait and see. So with that being said, I am right smack dab in the middle of an extremely busy week, so I need to get out of here, upload this commentary, and get it up to you guys. I will be back up here in a week or two to discuss what's been going on. Enjoy Raw on Monday night. Enjoy Game 7 on Thursday. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.